Thumbnail. All right, so I recently had somebody ask what was the best way to connect GoPros to these big rigs that I've been working with. And so I've been meaning to do this video sort of talking about what I figured out from lots of trial and error. My favorite way, what I think is the best way, but it may not be. It's just what I've figured out so far. So basically, the main thing is I'm using this 1-inch ball ecosystem, if you will. So everything uses these 1-inch balls here. So all of the parts are interchangeable this way. So the system that I use to attach GoPros to these arms on the hydraulic rigs, stabilizing rigs for the big cameras, is this system right here. And I like this clamp. I've used a couple of different ones. I've got these guys right here that I've tried as well. A little bit more compact, but they just don't seem to have the clamping force. I've had a couple of these threaded rods strip. And these clamps right here will actually go tighter, even though it's a little bit bigger. That's as tight as this one will go, right? But these guys right here, because the fingers go through, you can't even fit like a straw in between there. So it'll clamp to things that are really smaller if you need to, but it is kind of bulky, but super strong. And so I use these to clamp onto that arm, and then I can put GoPro. They make different lengths of arms, although I typically try to just keep it as short as possible so that there's less vibrations. But you can get all this stuff on Amazon or eBay or whatever. I'm not like an affiliate with anything. I might put some links in the description, but you just have to search for 1-inch ball clamps and things like that, and you'll find all that stuff. As far as like the GoPros, you know, one of the things I've figured out, if you're seeing these foam covers on my stuff, I use these to get audio. They're actually pretty good as long as they're not in real direct wind. If they're near the exhaust on a car or motorcycle, they pick up good audio. And it's not just a foam cover. It's a trick that I do that I don't think anybody else has done. I never saw anybody do it. Depending on the GoPro model that you have to figure out where the microphone ports are. Like on this one, for instance, that looks like a microphone. It's not. That's a speaker for when it's playing back. But on this model, the Hero 9, for instance, the microphone there's usually 2 microphone holes, points. And so on this one, it's below the lens and on the top. And so what these are just little felt stick-on furniture leg, dots that are adhesive felt stick-on pieces. And I put them over the microphone points. And then I put the foam cover over the camera as well. This cover right here is not made for the Hero 9. The covers for the Hero 9 and 10 and 11 that have the screen, these foam covers specifically for that model of camera kind of suck because they've got a big cutout right here for the screen. And so what happens is when it's going into the wind at 100 miles an hour, the whole thing gets pushed open. And it ends up letting wind go through it and doesn't really do any good. So these are actually for the Hero, I think 5, and it still works. It's a little bit snug. I don't know if these would work on the new Hero 11. I believe it's a little bit wider than the 9 and 10, but I've only got the 9 and 10, and this cover fits on there. If you're using 11 and you have to get one of these covers that has that hole right here, you can get you a Velcro strap like a cable tie and actually just go around the whole camera with that thing and cinch it tight so that the foam cover won't open up. I do that sometimes as well, just for a little bit of extra sound deadening. It keeps the whole cover really tight to the camera that way. So that's my trick for getting good audio from a GoPro without having to use external microphones, is put these little felt dots on, get the foam cover, try the one for the Hero 4 or 5 if you have a later model of Hero, and see if it'll work, just because it has a nice solid front end that doesn't have that big stupid hole for the screen. Like, we need to see that for what we're doing. Okay, so yeah, with these clamps and this system, I also like to use these suction cup mounts. And so there's a couple options here for the suction cups. This is my type of favorite kind, and you can see them on this one right here as well. So this is a bigger version, smaller version. They're side by side. You can see the difference there. They cost about the same, honestly. These little suckers are expensive. But what's cool about these types of suction cups is that they have a pump that pulls them down, and then once they're sealed, that white line on there disappears, or it may be a red line in this case. And then if it starts to leak out, it'll start showing that line before it falls off. So I'll put these on about 20-30 minutes before the shoot, and then come back and check and see if that's leaking down. And even then, I'll still pump it a couple times and reset this pump. But these are like $60 or something each. You can get these type for like $20. This is the cam locking type. GoPro makes one as well with their brand. I like these. This is the RAM, RAM brand line of products. They're all 1-inch ball. So I like these instead of the GoPro mounts. They're a little bit bulkier, but not much, and they give you a lot more flexibility in the angles and everything. But that's how I mount GoPros onto these arms. And then it also, you can do like my 360 camera. You can get a ball mount that has a 1/4-20 thread that goes straight into the 360 camera, and then of course I'll just clamp this onto that bar, and now I've got a camera that's sort of sticking out, and I can move it around, and it's still part of that same ecosystem where I can switch this over to a suction cup or use a bigger arm or whatever I need to do there. Now, as for getting good audio, there was another question that came up, and like I said, the GoPro works really well, but if you want to take it up a notch, probably the quickest, easiest way is this wireless mic system by DJI. I love this thing. I've tried the Rode Go. I have the Rode Go wireless mic system as well, but this is just so much slicker. This little system that they have, the case that they have, these things magnetically pop in and out. And so for those of you not familiar, the way this works is this is a receiver for the audio signal, and this goes on the camera. So you can get cages and things like that for your GoPro, or you can just find a place to put this nearby. But this clamps into like a hot shoe mount on any camera. So a lot of those cages for the GoPro, they'll have a cold shoe mount. They'll have a cold shoe slot, and you can slide this in, and then you just use the patch cable from this, go into your GoPro. Like the Media Mod cage for the GoPro has a microphone jack in it. So this will send what it hears into the GoPro. And so what it hears is what these little guys pick up. So you can put these wherever you want to. They got little clamps. They're magnetic also. This piece right here is a magnet. So you can slap these on anything metal, and they're really strong. It's that neodymium magnet stuff. And then they also have little wind blockers as well that go on there and do a really good job of cutting down the wind noise. I mean, I'm not saying you can put this on the windshield and get audio from the exhaust, but it's not bad. These things are really good, and they self-record inside the device. So if for some reason it loses signal to the transmitter, like it gets too far away, if you put these on one vehicle and film from another vehicle, they may not reach. But these also record within themselves. If you just push the button, I forget the record button, light turns red and it's recording. So right now, it don't even need to be connected to anything. It's saving the recording inside this, and you just plug a USB cord in there, and you've got the audio saved on this. So these work as standalone devices too. Cannot recommend this thing enough. This thing's badass. Comes with a little case with the stuff and everything. And in this case is its own charging system. It'll charge them in like no time. And then as soon as you open it up, it shows you a little status thing on the display there about what the charge state is of all of the devices. And then you can make adjustments. This is touchscreen. You can make adjustments on here as well. Really cool DJI wireless mic setup. So you can use this with your GoPro, put these mics inside the vehicle, under the seat of a motorcycle, something like that, wrap them in a towel or something, and you can get good audio wirelessly using this. If you want to go pro level, this right here is just it's a studio mic by Shure, S-H-U-R-E, and it's like a classic vocalist microphone, and I've put a foam cover and this cover over it, so it blocks a lot of wind noise. And this is using the 1-inch ball clamp system. So these I can mount near the exhaust tips on a car, but they are corded, and so you got to deal with this wire running to something. And so I use this audio recorder by Tascam. This is the X8 32-bit float audio recorder. Really cool device. And again, it has a 1/4-20 threaded spot on the back. So I screwed this in. This is a plate that's made by Ram, and it has that same, ball setup. So I've actually put this on the outside of a vehicle and run the cords from the mics into it, or I can put it inside, like in the trunk or something, and just lay it in there. Or if there's something to clamp to, I'll use the clamp and this ball system and clamp it to something inside the trunk. Really great audio recorder setup. So there's some of my tips for mounting and using action cameras and audio, how to collect audio from devices. If you like that, please give it a like on the video there. And if you have any questions or want me to cover something else, or you got any ideas better than what I've shown here, just put them in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, y'all. Till next time. One more thing I forgot to mention, as far as getting audio from one of these rigs, what I do is use that little DJI microphone setup. And so I clamp the receiver into the hot shoe, run the mic cable into the mic jack on the camera. And now with these little wireless microphones, I can get audio from this. So I can put this inside the subject car or inside the film car, whatever I need to do, and I can get audio straight onto this camera. And again, they record their own audio as well, so if it gets too far away, it loses signal, we still have a recording inside this thing. So that's the trick to getting audio from one of these rigs where the camera is typically out in the wind and it's getting nothing but wind noise normally.